of life as well through my coaching business. And I'm sure that pretty much everybody watching this video will relate to the experience of being around certain people and coming away in a bad mood. You might go into this situation feeling good about yourself and life, and you come away feeling angry, tired, confused, exhausted, down, drained, lower on energy, maybe even angry as well. If you relate to this, then you've probably been around toxic people that you found draining. This was an experience that I used to have all the time, and I really mean all the time for me personally. That's what my parents are like, both parents actually. And I was just so drained growing up, especially. Not anymore, but growing up. So much so, with all this kind of toxic energy, that it affected my liver because it was just constant, and my skin turned yellow. This was for about 3 years when I was in high school. At that time, I also had cripplingly high levels of social anxiety as well, and just walked around life with almost soulless, no shine, no energy, no confidence. And this was because of the projections and negativity that I was taking on, that was never mine to carry. And I'll tell you about this shield visualization. But first, it's important to give the best advice that's possible for dealing with toxic people, which is not to live with toxic people and to have time boundaries. That's the easiest and simplest and most effective solution that I've found that works for people that I coach, to limit their time and take back that control and power. But sometimes you just you want to spend time around a certain person, despite them having some bad qualities. There's good qualities. Perhaps it's unavoidable. Maybe there's a family dinner that you go to, and there's just some toxic people there. Maybe it's you're on a train somewhere, and there's some strangers that are venting or having a really negative and triggering conversation. Perhaps it's an energy vampire at your place of work, someone that you're sat next to in the office, or worse, potentially, and it could be a boss. It could even be when you're online, scrolling through social media or reading the news. You're exposed to negativity, things that are draining, and you want to buffer and protect yourself from this. But it's important to know that even though you can't help, on some level, being passively exposed to this kind of energy, you can protect yourself from taking it on and take ownership. And you're allowed and entitled to feel grounded and be at peace, even if every person around you is losing themselves and not in a good place. You can keep your cool regardless. You don't need to join the herd. So, something that really helped me out, and I tried a hell of a book. So, when you know you're going to spend time with someone who has toxic qualities, someone that you find draining, before you enter the space with that person, as cheesy as this might sound, try it because it does genuinely work. Visualize this golden bubble around you. It's like an arm's length away from you in every single direction. It's a really, really thick, solid golden bubble of light. And this bubble is not a wall, it's more like an intelligent filter. And everything that comes from the right place, everything that's truth and love, that can pass through this golden bubble and you can receive that. But anything that isn't, any cynicism, any digs, passive aggressive digs, any confusion, distortions of truth, any anger, projections, other people's fears, other people's insecurities, their drama, their shame, all these more negative qualities that some people can project. They don't pass through this shield. They just bounce right off. And you can visualize those comments, those words, that energy just bouncing off your shield, not getting on the inside. And you can pair it with a mantra, something you say to yourself. For example, that's their energy, but it's not mine. I don't need to absorb their negativity. Return to sender, not at this address. You can even imagine there's some mirrors on the outside of your shield, this golden bubble of light, and they're talking to a mirror. They're not even seeing you and talking to you. They're talking to a mirror because they're projecting their drama onto you, but it's not yours to carry. You're only required to deal with your own challenges in life before you have children. And you can help other people with their challenges, but ultimately they have to walk their path. So maybe you could say that if someone's walking up a mountain, they've got a weighted rucksack on, you can't take that rucksack off that person and carry it for them, but you can walk alongside them and offer them encouragement and support on their journey. That's what you can do, but you don't have to merge with that person. You can offer value without merging, without taking on, without being burdened. So you visualize this golden bubble of light, really, really thick, really, really powerful. And you can even choose an energy for yourself. You can say, I want to be calm, clear, and confident. But a sneeze. I thought I was. So you can choose an energy that you want to emit. And you have every right to protect your peace and stay within that energy. And what you'll notice when you visualize this and you practice the mantra is that other people's projections, they're just hitting this wall, but they're not getting through. You're not accidentally internalizing them. And I say wall, it's only a wall to negativity. So it's best viewed as a filter. It's not going to stop you connecting with people. Really what you're doing is you're basically getting the autopilot part of your brain to filter on your behalf, to filter out what you take on and what you don't take on. So if you've ever learned to drive a car, at the start, you're consciously controlling everything. You're thinking, I'm going to go into first gear now, then I'm going to go into second gear, I'm going to press the clutch if it's a manual, all these different things. But after a while, it becomes autopilot, and that means that your subconscious just deals with it. So you're just driving. You're thinking about maybe what lane you have to go in and how to navigate. But you're not worried about controlling the vehicle because that task is delegated to the autopilot part of you. And it's the same with the filter. When you've set up that visualization and intention, and you practice it, the autopilot part of you will do that filtering. And you'll realize that you're buffering that person's toxic behavior that would normally drain you, and it's having negligible to no effect on you when you practice this and get really good at it. And even with this shield, this visualization, you still want to have time boundaries in place and limit your interactions with these difficult people. Because on some level, it is work to have that shield up. So still do these things. But the shield is great for when you can't really avoid someone that's difficult, but you don't want to take on their negativity and come away from encounters with that person in a bad mood. Another good mantra that you can say to yourself when the person's projecting and you've got this shield up is that my energy is mine. I don't need to give it to anybody. You get to choose where you give your energy. And if it's not going to be reciprocated from a particular person, or they're just giving you their drama, you don't need to take it on. You can even clarify this in the language that you use. I'm sorry that you feel that way. If someone's talking about some drama, but it's not in an honest way, where they're taking responsibility for it, they're doing it in a really negative and draining way. You have no responsibility to take that on. And you can use language which reinforces that. I'm really sorry that you feel that way. That sounds difficult for you. I imagine that would be a challenge for you. And when you're using that language, you're reinforcing the fact that you have empathy, but also it's their responsibility and you're not going to get burdened by it. You can also do things like redirecting the conversation towards less personal topics. You can find the sort of safe topics, let's say, the topics that are less negative, a bit lighter, less personal. And you can regularly control and drive the conversation. You can steer it in certain directions, films, music, whatever kind of topic isn't going to get met with a negative energy. And you can keep them on those conversations just so that you don't have to sacrifice how you feel and come away drained from these situations. So next time that you're going to be around a difficult person, try this visualization, practice it, and you should notice that it makes a difference. And if you're looking to go further with this stuff, potentially you want to be coached, or you want to come to some of my live events, as well as my in-person socials, which are really popular and go down super well. I'm going to start doing virtual events towards the back end of this month, and eventually we'll be doing one virtual event a week. These are free to attend. So if you want to come down to an event, or you want to go down the coaching route, feel free to get in touch with me, and I'll make sure that I add you to the appropriate lists, signpost you in the right direction. And until next time, enjoy the rest of your day.